Greetings one and all, and happy 2020 from Apple Stump Bushcraft. Today is a rather sad occasion in that this is the last and final episode of our review series on Warnick Company military MREs from the year 2004. Today's menu is number 15, Beef Enchilada. The Beef Enchilada menu is alleged to contain beef enchiladas, refried beans, cookies, a powdered beverage base, jalapeno cheese spread, vegetable crackers, picante sauce, that might be interesting, accessory packet B, a spoon, and a flameless ration heater. Accessory packet B is supposed to contain coffee, sugar, creamer, salt, chewing gum, matches, toilet tissue, a little hand sanitizer packet, red pepper, and candy, either vanilla, caramels, or chocolate. I suspect that it's going to be a Tootsie Roll, but we'll see. Today's special guest peelable seal opener is this Pocket Ease Stockman's knife. It's a vintage knife and it's probably 75 to 100 years old. And we'll see what comes out of the pouch. There's the whole kit and caboodle right there. Well, they fit rather nicely on that tray. It's not a bad looking spread. And we still have, of course, the main pouch here to use for trash. Alright, let's get started. Okay, first things first. Let's get the main course. Now we're going to use the peelable seal opener on that because I don't have any desire to fumble around with it. I could rip it open, I guess, but why? Alright, heating elements slid down into there. Let's open up the main course, beef enchilada. And we'll inspect the retort pouch, see it still appears to be vacuum packed, crinkly on the outside. I don't smell anything. Oh, we'll fold the corners down because that sometimes helps get them in there. Sometimes not. Yeah, it's a chubby one. Got it in there. Try to position that about right in the middle. And let's see if we can get the refried beans in there too. That would be nice. And after all this effort, then we have to hope that the flameless ration heater works. Well, let's reach in there and grab it. Slide it down. Again, we're going to try to position the ration heater somewhere around halfway. Alright, let's pour some water in. About an ounce is all you need. Fold the top over. This is never going to go back in the box that it came in, so let's put it in the main envelope. And put it over here, lean it up against a rock or something. Reach in there and see if it's working. And I'm not going to waste a lot of time with it if it doesn't. Distribute the water around. I think we have a dead ration heater here. Let's see if I can get some water to circulate down in between those. Well, I can smell it. That's a good sign. Smells like it's working, but there's no heat coming out of there yet. It's sizzling, so it's working. So it's working. I heard it sizzling. It smelled like it's working. I'm going to put it back in the main pouch, lean that up against a tripod or something, and move along to something else. Let's make the drink mix while we're thinking about such things. Beverage-based powder, orange flavor. I'm going to get the longer blade of the peelable seal opener out because it's very sharp though. And let's have a look at that. Kind of a light orange color. All powdery, not caked at all. I'm going to pour it in our dual wall stainless steel cup made by Peak, if anyone's interested. There we have it. Spoon at the ready. Just kind of perusing the instructions here, which I should have done before I opened it. Half a canteen cup or 12 ounces of cold water. So that's pretty much about what this cup holds. Reasonably full. I don't know if you can hear that spoon scraping around the bottom, but the bottom of this cup is absolutely smooth, and so the gritty sound that I can hear, and maybe you can, is probably sugar granules. Alright, let's put that over here and let it dissolve for a bit. Next up is going to be our surprise packet. I believe these to be Tootsie Rolls by feel. I think there's 2 of them in there. That counts as chocolate in some people's book. And here we have Tootsie Rolls. Vintage MRE Tootsie Rolls. 0.5 ounces or 14 grams each. Oh boy, what a treat. So, there's 1 ounce all together. Vegetable crackers. MRE crackers have a pretty good track record. They last quite a while without being overly stale. A lot of times they do have a certain stale odor to them, but they taste alright. I don't know what the case is going to be here, but here we go. Vegetable crackers. They look a little darker than the normal MRE crackers do. They're a little bit shiny on the surface. I don't know if you can see that. Perforated and sort of scored, but they actually don't break very well. And they have specks in them. You can see the specks in there, and they're a little bit darker brown than the standard MRE crackers are. Next up is the molasses cookie pouch. We'll zip that open. See what comes out. Oh, well, it said cookies, plural, but there's only 1. That's fine. It's pretty big. Look how thick that is. That's probably a little greater than 1/4 of an inch, a little bit less than 1/2 an inch. If you go through the middle, it's easily 1/2 an inch thick. Smells like molasses. Doesn't smell stale. There was no oxygen absorbing shelf stable packet in there. For those of you who might be watching for the very first time, I've kept these vintage 2004 menus since I bought them in 2005 under room temperature, that being 72 degrees or less, indoors, elevated off the floor, and for the last year or 2 they've been in a freezer at 5 to 10 degrees below zero. Picante sauce here. I'm not going to open that just yet because that might be useful on the enchilada. And we have some cheese spread, which we're going to squeeze and fold and knead and otherwise mash for a minute or 2, and we'll get back to you when that's done. And we'll try some on a cracker. Alright, before we go any further, shout out to MREinfo.com for publishing the contents list for this vintage of MREs from Warnick Company. So I'm going to make a little nozzle like I typically do. Not too bad, a little raggedy, but not too bad. Okay. That one almost broke on what appeared to be the score line. Going to give this a sniff test. Not to be confused with the whiff test, which is something else. Smells stale. Possibly a little rancid. I don't think they use a lot of grease in making these, but there's probably some, and that's what goes rancid mostly in MREs, is things that contain oil. So it's a little stale, not bad. I'm going to stir up our orange drink mix a little bit because I intend to have a swig of that shortly. Okay, a little bit of cheese spread. Take a look at that. Kind of orange colored. Not quite so brown as some of them come out. Not as bright yellow as the newer ones. Smells typical for an MRE cheese spread. Kind of cheesy. Smells maybe a little bit old. Not too bad. And there is a hint of spiciness in there, which would be the jalapeno component. So, without any more yakking, let's give it a bite. Well, the jalapeno covers up anything that might be considered stale tasting about the cracker. And in typical fashion with the jalapeno cheese spread, the heat doesn't start until well after you've chewed it up and even swallowed it. So now, a minute or so later, it's starting to heat up in my mouth and back of my throat, which is fine because I've found this jalapeno cheese spread from the Warnick Company to be pretty good. There's a pretty good dollop down the hatch. Quite good. In fairness to the crackers, I didn't give them a shot without jalapeno cheese spread on them. So I'm going to do a little palate cleansing here. The orange drink is a little bit weak, but it is sort of astringent. And it kind of took the rest of the crackery, jalapeno-y taste out of my mouth. But the heat is still there, but the cheese flavor is not. So now I think we can give the crackers a fair trial. There's a little segment. Can smell stale. Very dry. And the stale flavor is definitely there. So probably not going to eat all of those because I'm not a fan of stale crackers in general. But this stuff sure takes the stale flavor away. I highly recommend the jalapeno cheddar cheese spread from these MREs. It's quite good. Anyway, it's pretty good stuff and it's pretty spicy, but not overly so. I kind of like it. In fact, I like it a lot. Recommend it. If you come across it, I wouldn't hesitate to eat it. And I didn't. But that's on me. This one is now 16 years old or thereabouts. Being 2020. 2004, 2020, 16 years difference. So 15 years anyway in the pouch. And that stuff is still good as far as I can tell. Let's move on to the molasses cookie. It's rather a jumbo size. I don't see any real sparkling there. Like, well, maybe a little. There's a little bit, but I don't think that's sugar coating. I think that's just where the package was pressed together. It's possibly, I don't know. Feels a little bit grainy on top. A pretty substantial cookie. Here's what it looks like inside. Now let's give it a try. Well, that was pretty good. It's pretty dry, and you'd expect that. There is molasses flavor in there. You can smell the molasses quite clearly. And it's not real sugary. It's a thick cookie and pretty tasty, kind of a holiday flavor, really, if you think about it. Pretty sure there might be some ginger in there. I suspect that this is perfectly fine, and I'm going to eat this other fragment down the hatch. So what to try next? Probably a Tootsie Roll. Okay. These should be reasonably easy to open. Should be, being the operative term, but they're not. And since I don't really like to fuss with those things very much, peelable seal opener is employed once more. So here we have a typical looking Tootsie Roll configuration, stuck to the cardboard a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments, not necessarily all the same size. Bendable, alright. You make a couple letters of the alphabet out of that. There's a C, there's a U, L, I. Alright. So it's fairly pliable, like taffy, which is essentially what it is chocolate taffy. Smells okay. And we'll give it a taste test. Well, it tastes like a Tootsie Roll. It's a little slow on the flavor, probably owing to its age. It's chewy, it gets softer just like any other taffy the more you work on it. And the chocolate flavor is a little subdued. Tastes like a Tootsie Roll, smells fresh, tastes fairly fresh, but it is old, approaching 16 years in the package. So taking that into account, I say it did pretty well. Let's check out the progress of our flameless ration heater. So this outer pouch is warm. Stick my hand in there. Whoa. So this side is pretty darn hot. This side is just warm. So I'm going to turn it over, try to heat it more evenly if I can. And we'll get back to it in a few minutes. If it's not as hot as I want it to be, it's going to go in the boiling water. Well, we're still waiting for the main course to complete heating process or to get dunked in the boiling water. So we passed 1,000 subscribers a while back and haven't had a giveaway yet. Haven't decided exactly what to give away. I may make that decision during the course of this video. But I think one of the things I'm going to give away with this 1,000 subscriber occasion is this very accessory packet from this very MRE. So that's why I haven't opened it yet. There'll be something else, but this is going to be one of the components of the giveaway. So what do you have to do to win? Like and comment. So hit the like button and then comment. And what should your comment include? I'd like to know what kind of camping, survival, or trekking, hiking meals that you prefer. Is it MREs? Is it Mountain House? Is it Backpacker's Pantry? Or is it something that you make yourself and take with you on a overnighter, a day hike, or a multi-day trek in the backcountry? So this will be part of it. Not going to open that one. Set it to the side. And that'll be part of the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. Let's have another bite of stale vegetable MRE cracker and really good 19-year-old jalapeno cheese spread. That is good stuff. It was indeed good. A little drag on the orange drink cup. I probably put too much water in there. I think I put 12 ounces. You can see what's left in the bottle after filling this up and using some in the FRH. Alright, another bite of this molasses cookie. Smells like molasses, and again, I think there's some ginger in there, but I'm not sure. I didn't read the ingredients list, and I'm not inclined to do that right now. Smells okay, looks okay, tastes okay. So let's assume, and that's a dangerous thing to do, but let's assume it's okay, and here we go. Not as crispy as a ginger snap, but it tastes like one, and it has an extra kick of molasses that ginger snaps don't have. It's not overpowering in its molasses flavor. It's not as dry as the crackers, it's not as moist as some soft cookies. It's right about in between there. Not too bad for mass produced. I wouldn't be afraid to have that along with me on a hike, camping trip, or backpacking. A little comfort food. Not too bad, I'd take it along. Speaking of comfort food and quick energy, we'll have another segment of the Tootsie Roll. It's quite pliable. It's a good sign for a Tootsie Roll. Not hard in the least. You could shape this into a ball or whatever. Quite easy to compress and manipulate and knead and push, pull, drag, whatever it is you got to do. I made a little ball out of it. Drop that on the trail, and people might think there's been a moose around, right? But there we go, Tootsie Roll down the hatch. I can't help myself. I like the jalapeno cheese spread so much. I'm going to have some more, even though the crackers are stale as they can possibly be. Doesn't hurt to eat a stale cracker once in a while, I suppose. And in some situations, that might be what you have to make do with. So, overcoming an aversion to eating stale food, as long as it's not really creepy stale, that might be a good trait to exercise once in a while. Good skill for survival. Overcoming that icky factor, right? So with the cheese spread on top of that cracker, I really can't smell the staleness. It smells more like jalapeno cheese, so that helps. Well, the heat from that jalapeno cheese just goes on and on. It's not overpowering, it's pretty nice actually. Whoa! Alright. So the FRH is really hot. The outside of this pouch is so hot that I can barely touch it. I can touch it lightly, but if I lay my hand on there, I'm liable to get burnt. So we're going to go ahead and fold this down so it doesn't leak. And I'm going to lean it back against my tripod or something and let it continue to heat that. Alright, you have to be smarter than the pouch. Excuse the jumps in the camera. Yeah, pouch is smarter than I am. Okay, anyway, there. I leaned it up against a pile of garbage or something. Let's check out the status of the main entree and the refried beans. Stick my hand in. Wow, it's hot on the bottom. Holy crap. Yeah. So on this side, there's a lot of heat being generated, and it is being transferred up. Ow! It is being transferred up through the top pouch. All right, as long as it's that hot, I'm going to let it keep on heating, and we'll get back to it in a few minutes. Let's try it again. Oh, still quite hot. Ow! Holy cow! All right, that's been in there half an hour at least. So find out what the status is. Yow! That thing's hot. Whoa, man! You see the heating elements there. Very hot. Too hot to handle. This is pretty hot. That'd be the refried beans. And the main course. I don't like that. Not quite hot enough, so they're going to go in the hot water for a little bit. We'll get back soon. Well, the funniest things happen when you're trying to do one of these videos. I just spilled all the water out of the FRH all over the table. Luckily it's protected by a pad and also a tablecloth, so I don't think there's going to be any permanent harm, but that's how it goes. The things you don't see on these videos is sometimes more entertaining, at least, than what you do. I guarantee you that. Let's have another bite of stale cracker and jalapeno cheddar cheese spread because that is the bomb. Really good. Here's to your good health. That's just plain tasty. I'm going to have some more of this orange beverage base mix. Kind of weak orange flavored drink. It's only weak because I put too much water in it. I like to heat those things in the hot water or the boiling water for 10 to 15 minutes, have about 5 minutes of that time left. So, this giant cookie calls. Here we go. The temptation with some of these things, whichever item you like the most, the crackers, a cookie, a Tootsie Roll, or whatever, is to nom them right down, right? And go through it pretty fast. But I can tell you with this cookie, slow is the way to go because you get the full benefit of all the flavors that are in there. It's quite spicy. Not spicy hot, but spicy like molasses, ginger, maybe cinnamon in there. It's quite good. The longer that it stays in your mouth, the more the flavors are discernible. So unless you're really on the move and really starving and maybe had to eat that while you were going, I'd sit down under a tree and take my time with it. Pretty good stuff. Alright, so as you can see, we used the time to clean the tray off and get it ready for the main course. You can probably hear the timer going off in the background. So I'm going to go get those things out of the hot water and rinse off the outer covers and bring them over here and we'll see how it goes. Alright, here they are. There's the main course. And that is the enchiladas, beef enchiladas and sauce. And it just came out of boiling water and yet the crinkles are still there. The outer envelope did not separate, which they sometimes have in the past, and when that happened, if I smelled any smell of the meal inside, I didn't use them or I didn't eat them. So in this case, whatever's inside is still intact. So let's use the good old peelable seal opener, just because I like to. These are not too hard to open, but I actually enjoy the peelable seal opener aspect of doing these videos. Ooh, hey, there really is an enchilada in there. Want to see? Look at that. Okay, let's pour it out. Ow, 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 that's a big one. Big and hot. And right away you can see jalapeno peppers, or at least green peppers. And there's plenty of that tomatoey sauce there to go around. Don't think we left much of anything behind in the bag. Smells good. It smells a nice strong south of the border influence. I don't think we're going to need any picante sauce. I might pour it out though just to see how it fared. Now, this isn't overly expanded. It's not like there's a lot of pressure in there, but it's certainly not vacuum packed, and that would be kind of hard to do with a liquid. So let's open that up. I'll pour it into a separate compartment. No escape of contents or gas when I poke the knife in there, which is a good sign. Put that over here. Ooh, is that ever dark? Smell the envelope. Smells like salsa. Old salsa, but salsa nonetheless. And let's take a look at the refried beans. Gonna put them up here in the front, which is there. Okay. There they are. It has has a strange aroma to it. I'm not sure I'm going to eat that. But, oh man, that's hot. Whoa. That is hard to hang on to. Whoa, man. You know, if I'd have thought about it, I'd had a meat thermometer over here. We could find out how hot that actually is. But that is, whoa. Dangerously hot to handle. And to kind of use all the tricks in my inventory not to get burned by that. Okay, let's zoom in on that a little bit. Well, that's what it looks like. Pepper, green pepper, tomatoey sauce. Now let's cut into it. Looks like it was made out of a big burrito, and you can see the edge of it right there. There's kind of a flap right there. That's exactly what they did. So that was a big flour tortilla at one time. And inside, there's quite a bit of stuffing in there. That would be a pretty hearty meal. Well, that looks like kind of ground beef, possibly shredded. Smells alright, I think. Give it a shot. Doesn't taste good, I'll spit it out. Not bad. I bet it was a lot better than that when it was new. I think the flavors have kind of muted over the years. There's some grease or oil forming in the sauce as it sits there. There's a pasty texture to the outer covering or the tortilla. It's just kind of pasty, floury, nothing. Kind of like wet bread. The filling is beefy. And I think they actually made an attempt to shred that. Shredded beef, it looks like it. Might also be some ground beef, but there's definitely shreds of meat in there. It has a meaty texture, so at least even though the outer shell is doughy, that's what it's actually like. It's just like eating raw dough that has a Mexican style flavor added to it. The inside, the filling, is pretty good actually, and I don't think I'm gonna put this on it. Let's try a smell test on the refried beans. No, I'm not gonna eat those. They smell like chemicals. Smell like formaldehyde or something. I'm gonna go wash off my spoon. I'm not gonna try that at all. Be right back. So now that the taste of this has had a chance to work its way down my throat, it's there's some heat there. There's definitely some heat involved with that, jalapeno style, or some kind of hot peppers involved. Possibly a little bit more than with the cheddar cheese with jalapeno in it, but still quite pleasant. It makes it worthwhile eating the stuffing anyway. If I were going to open this going on 16-year-old MRE and I wasn't starving to death, I think I would probably peel the wrapper off of there once I got a taste of that doughy, not really slimy, but doughy, gooey texture. I would just scoop out the filling and leave the rest of that there. I want to smell the picante sauce a little closer. I'm not inclined to eat it because it's just brown. It looks like chocolate syrup or something. I'll give it a smell here. No, I don't think so. I'll let that slide too. What this picante sauce smells like is kind of a combination of vinegar and some other chemical that I can't identify. Maybe the pepper's in there or something. Maybe they've commingled. Oh man, it's really actually not that pleasant to smell, so I'm not going to eat that. The envelope or the pouch that it came in was not punctured. It just doesn't necessarily have to be if it wasn't cooked adequately or somehow or another something got in there during the process of packaging, even though they might have cooked it adequately or even irradiated it, which I don't think they were irradiating this 2004 meals like they did on some of the earlier ones. This is a definite no-go. It smells like formaldehyde to me. It shouldn't smell that way. This doesn't smell right. This tastes fine, but the texture of the outer wrapper leaves something to be desired. Actually, leaves quite a bit to be desired. That's good. So what do we give it on a letter grade scale? C+, mostly owing to the wrapper. F, not worth trying. F-, definitely not worth trying. It smells really like something that came out of a chemistry set. And this I will give a solid B+ to. I'd give it an A probably if I hadn't diluted it, so the difference between a B+ and an A is my fault. It's good. I'll have some more. The Tootsie Rolls, give them an A. They weathered the 16 years in the package just fine. Really couldn't tell the difference between that and a brand new one. Let's talk a little bit about the giveaway. So part one of the giveaway, as previously announced, is the actual accessory pack that was featured in this video. As you can see, it hasn't been opened. It hasn't seen the light of day since we opened the entire menu pack that was featured in this review. Lighthouse toilet tissue, there's a wet nap, Domino sugar, salt, pepper, Taster's Choice coffee, white tip, MRE matches, spice pack, I believe that's ground red pepper, there's some chewing gum in there. So this is a pretty standard accessory pack, and that's part one of the giveaway. You'll get that exact accessory pack. Part two of the giveaway is going to be a Smith's combination knife sharpener and survival tool. Featured on the accessory tool are a small compass. I've had this one for many years and it's been around other metallic objects, and let's see if it's going to point north here. It actually is. It says the north is approximately that way, and it actually is. Also featured in this combination tool is a small diamond textured spiky looking thing for sharpening serrated edged knives. Works pretty good for fish hooks too. I've used it for both. And we have a pull out striker, which thank goodness is a little bit difficult to pull out. This is a ferrocerium rod, or fire steel. It's about 2 inches long and somewhere around 1/8 of an inch wide. I haven't used this for striking a fire yet, so all the oxide coating is still on it. That's why it looks black. We have a survival whistle, which is pretty loud. It'll do the job within a reasonable distance. And then we have finger grooves built into the tool and 2 labeled sharpening guides. I've found these guides to be fairly effective with most outdoor oriented knives. The thinner bladed knives like this, Victorinox Super Tinker, sometimes don't get as sharp as you might like them. The thicker blades, like most hunting knives, do pretty well in that sharpener. And then the really thick survival type knives are a challenge to sharpen with it. But generally speaking, for most knives, and even for small hatchets and other bladed tools, this sharpener does a reasonable job and is small and compact, works really good in the field. I keep one around the house, I keep one in my tackle box, and of course I have one or more of these in my bug out bag. So what you do is, one side is carbide, it's labeled carbide, and there's an arrow on top that points the direction that you're supposed to draw the blade through. So if you have a really rough blade, you can draw it through the carbide edge and take off some of the little curly pieces of steel that sometimes result from using a knife on tough materials. And then you can draw it through the carbide side to get a finer edge on it. I touch up this knife every now and then with this particular tool, and it serves me pretty well. So I cut cardboard with it a lot, and as any of you know who've cut much cardboard with a regular knife like this or some other one, pocket knife, cardboard tends to take the edge off pretty fast, and so it requires touching up a little more often than a fatter blade might. But anyway, that's how you use it. It's fairly sharp, and it'll stay that way for a while. You can also use it on smaller knives like this pen blade. Again, you can draw it through the carbide side, and when you're doing that, the vibrations that are happening as the blade pulls through there will tell you where the rough spots are, if your fingers are sensitive enough. I suppose if it were cold and my fingers were freezing, I wouldn't be able to feel the little vibrations, the little hesitations that happen when it hits a rough spot. So a few passes to smooth the rough spots off on the carbide side, and then a few passes on the ceramic side to put a finer edge on there. Will this make your knife shaving sharp? Probably not. It doesn't make these Swiss Army knife style blades shaving sharp, but it does make them utilitarian sharp. I can use them for cutting anything I need to cut around the house. And last, we have a flashlight function. There's a button right there, and it's reset into there kind of like a countersunk screw would be, so that when you just handle it, it's not going to activate. You actually have to push that button in, and there's the light. Now, I've had this particular example of the tool at least 5 years. I don't use it very often. That light is still reasonably bright enough to maybe read a map by in the dark, maybe signal somebody who might be passing by to rescue you within a reasonable distance, 100 yards or something like that. You're not going to signal aircraft aloft or helicopters or somebody that might be searching for you during the daytime, at least, with that light. At night they might see it. It does offer some light, and the new one, your particular prize, probably be somewhat brighter than this one because it's been hanging around my kit for several years, and so batteries naturally drain themselves after a while, but I still think that's pretty good light. I'm shining it on my hand here, you can see it illuminates my hand pretty well. And maybe we'll shine it on here. Now, if you needed to read those instructions in a dark tent, it'd be plenty of light. But you're not going to find your way down a path in the forest at night with this, I don't believe. So keep in mind that it has a limited purpose, and within the boundaries of that purpose, it's fine. So there you have it. 2 knife sharpening guides, carbide and ceramic. Finger groove. Arrow indicating direction of pull. Diamond steel for sharpening serrated edges, and also works great for fish hooks. I've found that out, and it does a good job. Fire steel. And a compass. And a whistle. I'm not going to blow it again because it drives my pets crazy. This is the one you'll get. Brand new in the package, has not been opened, has not been used. As a matter of fact, I just got it yesterday. Here's the giveaway. Accessory packet B from our enchilada menu, and the Pocket Pal 2 by Smith's. What do you have to do to win the giveaway? Once again, all you have to do is like this video and comment on it. Then in a week or so, we'll use the random comment picker to select a winner. Our next video is probably going to be a side-by-side comparison of Marmite, the New Zealand version that my sister sent me from Auckland, and most recently my son, who lives in Exeter, Great Britain, sent me this version, which is the English style Marmite. And I'm given to understand that the English style Marmite is perhaps saltier, perhaps a little stronger than the New Zealand brand. So I want to find out. If I were planning an extended backpacking trip or even an overnighter, and certainly for consideration to include something in my bug out bag, Marmite might be a good choice because of what it has in it. There's a lot of protein in there, there's some vitamins and minerals, and there's sodium. And if you're out there on the trail sweating, especially in the summertime, at any time you're working up a sweat, you're losing sodium. And sodium is essential for the physiological functioning of human beings. I would put one of these in my pack and use it sparingly, but use it. So our next video will be a side-by-side comparison of Marmite from New Zealand, from Great Britain, and we'll let you know what we think. So thanks for tuning in to this episode, Apple Stump Bushcraft Stuff and Things, wishing you a Happy New Year, hoping everything's fine where you are, and we'll see you next time. Adios.